Well, time for the finals here on day 2, round 2, BNL Karting Series 2026. This is a WFR Live TV production. My name is Alex Goldschmidt, your official series commentator, up here in the commentary booth, overlooking the entirety of the majority of this circuit, which is a wonderful circuit to see some fantastic racing, very open plan. Wonderful Belgian countryside around us. Like I said earlier on here this weekend, it kind of reminds me of my home in Manningtree, North Essex, just off of the Suffolk border. But it is a fantastic track. We've got 4 finals left to go here at the Karting d'Espagne International Raceway. And we have to say un grand merci à toute l'équipe à la circuit ici à Marienburg pour la chance de rouler ici avec tous les cartes de Rotax ce week-end. Merci beaucoup aussi à le chef de ce circuit, Monsieur Thierry Lepine. So, ladies and gentlemen, time to get yourselves strapped in. Grab your popcorn, your beverage of choice. It should be chilled because here we go. It's the first of 4 finals. We go straight in with the Minimax and Mini Rookie 12-minute final here on day 2. And your starting grid is as follows. Josh Cook will lead the way from pole position. Alongside him will be the man that bested him in yesterday's final, Osterman from Sam Pollitt Racing. They line up on the front row of the grid. Ryan Townsend and Dayan Habits will line up on row 2 ahead of August Lingzo and Arthur Farrow, who round out row 3. Row 4, Charlie Page and Teddy Murphy, with Maria Roberto and Arthur Bowers completing the top 10. Arlo Gamble and Ryan Rampadanath round out row 6. Jayan Prakash and Chloe Malling Sorensen round out row 7. Henry Mayat, Maxime Ball, row 8. Zain Sofuoglu and Evert van Middeldorp round out row 9, with Arda Bilyanov and Malte Holm rounding out the top 10. Ryder Ziyong, Kai Suri will round out the 12 rows because it looks like Mila de Karlsmaker is again a non-starter, the 106 from Belgium for Dams Racing. Now this is where things are crucial, because after this we go into the holiday break, effectively. Well, our consideration of a summer break before we go back to the home of champions for the last 2 rounds. 19th to the 21st of June for round 3, and round 4 will be as Zain Sofuoglu is waving past some drivers. Yes, trying to let Maxime Ball go through, because Maxime Ball is meant to be ahead of Sofuoglu on the grid. So is Chloe Malling Sorensen. Now, Chloe Malling Sorensen, the number 7 from One Racing in Denmark, was 3rd this year in the RMC Viking Trophy 2 weeks ago, held at the Vojens Motorsport Arena in Denmark, an hour away from the global capital of Lego, Billund, of all places. However, here we go. It's time to get the Mini and the Mini Rookie Final underway. Here to conclude their 2nd round of the season as the path to Portimao gets going again right now. We're lights out and we are underway for 12 minutes. And straight away, Ryan Townsend on the offensive gets through as Austin Oman losing handover of his positions at the minute because Dayan Habits has got through. So has August Lingzo. Lingzo up into P3. Habits down to 5th as Austin Oman gets back through for 4th. There is Chloe Malling Sorensen in the number 7 One Racing entry. The One Racing banner underneath RS Competition, the team run out of Vojens Motorsport Arena by team boss and owner of the team, Robert Schlunzen, who would have raced back here in the Super Formula A days in the late 1990s. Robert is proud to be Danish, but he also has a German side, and he ran under a German licence through the DMSB back in the late 1990s, competing at circuits like Val d'Argenton and Marienburg. And look at this, it's a KR Sport 1-2. Cook and Townsend trying to break the toe early here on lap number 2. They were over 3/10 ahead of August Likibo Lingzo in 3rd position. That has changed because Lingzo's down to 5th because Oman and Habits are through. Arlo Gamble leads the way in 10th position in the mini rookie division, ahead of Jayan Prakash. Oh, and it's all gone horribly wrong. Ryan Rampadanath has fallen to the bottom of the order. Evert van Middendorp and Chloe Malling Sorensen have also done so as well. That's not boding well for those 3 drivers, 2 of which are in the very competitive 9-strong mini rookie grid here this weekend. But now, Austin Amon on the attack. Here he goes, the 121 from Sam Pollitt Racing before they've even hit the apex at turn number 1. Gets through on Rayan Townsend from KR Sport. Dayan Habits is the fastest driver in the middle sector of this racetrack. Warning flag for Arthur Farrow in the 124 from Sam Pollitt Racing, who rounds out the top 5. Teddy Murphy gets through on Charlie Page. Now up to P7 is the 177 on the 114. But now it's a game of chess for 9 1/4 minutes. Cook ran nearly away with the race, but Austin Amon went toe-to-toe with the 175 from KR Sport yesterday for the best part of the 12 minutes, plus an additional lap final here at Marienborg. And Austin Amon and Josh Cook are trading fastest laps. Lap 3 in the books, 8 3/4 minutes left to go, plus an additional lap. Josh Cook, 59.720 is his best lap around this circuit. Austin Amon has just gone purple in the opening sector. Townsend, Habits and Arthur Farrow all doing personal best opening sectors. Oh, but we have got dramas at turn number 3, as there is one cart being wheeled away, and that is Maxime Ball, I'm afraid, in the 67 CRG Belgium entry. Was running 16th, but the main thing is the driver is okay and is at Marshall post 4 off of the inside of turn 3. So thank goodness Maxime is all okay, walks away under his own power. Meantime, Josh Cook leading the train, and it's starting to get a little bit longer. There's a quintet rounded out by Arthur Farrow in the 124. Austin Amon, new fastest lap of the race, 59.590 for the 121. And so with Milo de Karlsmaker, a non-starter, Maxime Ball is the first official retirement from the Mini-Max and Mini-Rookie Final. Through into Escargot here on lap number 5. So Josh Cook doing the best job that he can. He is the one that is basically doing the litmus test, which means that he will find the grip where he can, but he's not getting an assist. Meantime, look at the run that Austin Amon's got. The gap goes down to just under 0.13 of a second as they cross the line to start lap number 6. And this is far from easy as Suri Kai, now Kai Suri drops down to 19th position. Austin Amon, there you go, another new fastest lap, 59.526, nearly 0.07 of a second quicker, as Cook is making the rear bumper of that 175 chassis as wide as humanly possible. And you can see just by the right foot movement on Josh Cook, when he's waiting, modulating throttle, now he's full throttle down, up the hill at over 100 kilometers an hour, across the line, halfway through the race. And Josh Cook still trying to do the best that he can. and he just sets the fastest lap of the race without a purple sector. And that was a 59.512 from the 175. Austin Amar's got to bring the firepower round about now. Within the next 5 minutes, Austin Amar has got to put severe pressure on the shoulders of the young Briton in front of him. And Austin Amar has got the radiator flap wide open. At the top of the radiator on the right-hand side, you can see where the Rotax Max Evo engine is located. But Josh Cook has got minimal airflow, so it's an adjustable radiator flap at the top part of the radiator. Arlo Gamble gets a warning flag from race control. He's now P3 as Arthur Bowers is leading the mini rookie class in 10th position in the number 99. As, oh no, dramas, and that is Zain Sofuoglu's kart. And that looks to be missing a front Nassau panel. And Zain Sofuoglu was running 15th behind Arlo Gamble. And Ryder Jiang, the youngster from Australia in the 143, has moved up the order. So unfortunately, within the last 3 minutes, 2 retirements. Maxime Ball now adds Zain Sofuoglu to that list. And looks like Zain is just off of Marshall Post 3, which is on the outskirts of Turn 2. A big thank you to the men and women in orange, the marshals here at the circuit that have done such a fantastic job this weekend. A big thank you to them, because without people like that who volunteer their time, has now changed for the lead. 4 minutes to go, and Oman pulls the trigger. Now Cook starting to fight back. He sweeps to the outside to try and get the crisscross. Can he get the move done through into 3? Let's see. Not quite. Oman covers him off. This is going to bring habits into play very, very quickly. They go over the bumps into turn number 4. Austin Oman pulled the trigger. Cook went responsive and he said, right, I'm not letting you get away with that for a second day in a row here in the final. So we're going to see a very different, aggressive style of driving from Josh Cook, but DN Habits now knows as Arlo Gamble has just been excluded. Black flag for the number 72. Black flag for Arlo Gamble, who is going to have to park the kart into the pits. And that is going to promote Henry Mayett to P3. Oh, well, Josh Cook showed his nose to Austin Oman. Austin Oman went, no, hip check. Oh, and there's a little bit of a touch between the pair, bumper to bumper. That cost Cook time. DN Habits got through, and now Cook gets back through at turn 3. And now he's just saying to himself, right, come on, snap out of this. Josh Cook needs to be calm, composed, and just concentrate on what's in front of him, which means there's one driver that he needs to pass in the next 3.5 minutes. Now through into turn 12. The sun now again behind the patchy cloud cover we've got up above bathes the majority of the circuit in bright Sunday afternoon sunlight. And Austin Oman, new fastest lap of the race, 59.330 from the 121 from Sam Pollitt Racing. But now Josh Cook is going to become the hunter. He's been the hunted for over 2/3 of this race. And now Austin Oman does not have an assist. He does not have a wingman. He's got 3 karts behind him, 2 of which are KR Sport. One of them is Josh Cook behind him. The other one is a couple of karts back. Rayan Townsend in P4. So we are coming down to the wire. Gamble looking to do the double in the finals. Josh Cook will try and keep a hold of that championship lead. And look at the run he's got. Can he go for the move here into turn 1 with 2 laps remaining? Maybe make that 3. I think he's just teeing it up. He's saying to Austin Oman, right, you put the boot on the other foot, I'll do the same to you. Right, let's go for it. Let's have at it. It's time to see who has got the intestinal fortitude. A four-letter word that you would normally associate with that. Starts in G, ends in S, and it's called guts. And now Austin Oman, if he makes a slight mistake, Josh Cook will not need a second invitation at all. Timer is counting down. We are going to be close to the wire here as they come out of turn number 12. Up the hill. Will it be last lap this time? We are on the bubble. It's going to be close. Oh, and Josh Cook sweeps to the outside. It is going to be 2 more laps, and Cook is going for it. He is not letting anything go. And at this point, you now have to count in Dayan Habits and Ryan Townsend. But look who's closing in. 124. Arthur Ferro making it in a quintet, battling for the race lead. This and one more lap remains in what has now been a captivating Mini-Max and Mini-Rookie final. Here goes Cook to the inside at Chemin de Fer. Does Dayan Habits have enough to get through? No, he doesn't. That was the perfect opportunity. Josh Cook sent it, fired it up the inside with millimetres to spare, and he got through. But now he's having to defend. Up the hill they go. 1.366 kilometres. About a mile left to go, and here it is. Josh Cook tight to the inside at turn 1. Oman round the outside. But who's going to get the inside line for turn 2? It's Josh Cook. Here comes Dayan Habits. Arthur Ferro has now made his way up into P4. He's diving through on the inside of the Belgian. Oh, it's nearly 4 wide coming out of turn 3. Oh, and a little bit of a touch. Dayan Habits collects one of the sidewalls of one of the SPR carts and ends up being tumbling down a little bit further back. But this has been an absolute classic here in Covard, in Belgium at Karting d'Espagne. Josh Cook has led the majority of this race. He did not want lightning to strike twice. Up the hill, final time of asking. Austin Oman tried his best, but Josh Cook is going to win the final on day 2. Wow. If that is what you call racing to get there, by golly, did we just see that. Josh Cook wins after an epic scrap over 14 laps of racing. The KR Sport 175 victorious in his 3rd out of 4 finals so far this season. Did the double at Austriacor, lost out second fiddle to Austin Oman yesterday, and he wins by just under 0.2 of a second. Arthur Ferro rounds out 3rd ahead of Ryan Townsend. Dayan Habits was close, but unfortunately not close enough for the Dams Racing Team driver. Charlie Page, August Licamolingzo, Maria Roberto. Arthur Bowers takes the win in P9 in Mini Rookie, head of Teddy Murphy, Multi-Home, Rajesh Young, Jayan Prakash, Ryan Rampadarath, Henry Meyertz, Chloe Malling Sorensen, Kai Suri, Arda Bilyanov, and Evert van Middendorp. Arlo Gamble, black flagged with 5 laps to go. Zane Silfuoglu out of the race with 8 laps remaining. Maxime Ball out on lap 3 with Milo de Gaussmaker not taking the start. But here it is, folks, as I catch my breath, the highlights of an absolute classic mini and mini rookie final here in Marienburg.
do you come here? Is this your career?
Or is it all about fun? A chance to get away and leave it all behind?
Or do you chase your personal best? Challenging yourself over and over again. Why do you come here?
Maybe you're here to collect moments. Good ones. And not so good ones.
Or you can't afford mistakes because you want that victory. It's all about this one moment when the hard work finally pays off.
This is the place that brings us closer to the people who share our story. Whoever we are.
Whatever we're here for. Racing is who we are.
One final down, 3 to go. We now turn our attention to our drivers in the DD2 and DD2 Masters classification. Yesterday in the final was Ralph van der Pavert that was promoted to being the race winner in the 468. It has been rather highly charged in the DD2 and DD2 Masters class this weekend. But more to the point, after this we will have juniors and then we will have seniors to close off the action for the second round of the 2026 BNL Karting Series season as the path to Portimao continues. Not just here in this championship, there's multiple other Rotax championships happening. CEZ, I think Germany. There's quite a lot going on. I'll go through a few of those in a few minutes' time. But here it is for the DD2 and DD2 Masters final. So it is Jort van Wyk who will lead from pole position ahead of Len Nyes. Nico Guillaume and Theo Lemoyne round out row number 2. Ralph van der Pavert will be joined by fellow countryman and DD2 Masters pole sitter Jem Ringelberg, row 3. Pepin Rietman and Yannick Jacobs will start on row 4, completing the field Theo Lang and Christophe Capitaine. Yeah, so at the moment, RMC Bulgaria, us here in BNL in Marienburg, RMC Germany in Wackersdorf, RMC Austria and SSC taking place in Kecskebet in Hungary, Al Ain Raceway hosting round 8.2 of RMC UAE. RMC Peru 2026, RMC Mina Trophy 2, RMC Italia Centro Sud in Potenza in Italy, and then they've got quite a lot coming up next weekend, which also includes Rotax Poland, Copa Sao Paulo, SKP 2026 at the Slovakia Ring, RMC Rotax Max Challenge Sweden 2, Rotax Lithuania kickstarts in Augstad Vares next week, Rotax Japan APG in Auto Paradise Gotemba, and then Nicosia, the Daytona Raceway, Nisu in Cyprus, and then quite a few other things as well, so quite a lot happening over the coming weeks and months leading up to the big event, the most colourful display of karting in the world, the Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals, of which I have been able to, throughout my tenure as a commentator, I've been there 4 times, 2019 at Sarno, and then 2021, 2023 at Bahrain, as we go revs up, lights out for 15 minutes here on Sunday for DD2 and DD2 Masters. Len Noyes round the outside. Well, that was not a surprise from the 417 from Shepherd's Racing BV. Well, he decided, yep, I'm going to go for it. Round the outside, Eminem Styley. Yeah, so like I say, I've been to 2 at Bahrain, 2021, 2023. Went to Portimao back in 2022, where Christopher El Fagali became the first driver of Middle East and North African descent to win a world title. In a manner of, well, not in a manner of speaking. It is a global title because you're one of the best in the world in your class. And in Portimao, he managed to do something that no one from the Middle East and North Africa have been able to achieve since. But there is a lot of talent in that region. But first lap completed. Len Noyes, quick glance over the right shoulder by the 417 as he leads by just under 2/10. And look at this, Nicolas Guillaume in the 491 looks to stick his nose to the inside of Jort van Wyk. Ralph van der Pavert. And here goes Jort van Wyk. He thought about it, had to duck out at the last moment, and I thought there nearly could have been a Code Brown moment right there for the 433 from SP Motorsports. However, he's managed to keep himself pointing the right way. It could have been a different story had it been a bit of a lastminute.com dive to the inside. And these drivers are absolutely going full pelt. Air temperature now 13 degrees centigrade. And the blue skies are becoming more prevalent up above. Now it's going to be elbows out, knives sharpened on the edges of them. And it is the likes of Nies, Van Wyk, Guillaume, Van der Pavert, Lemoigne, behind Riedman in the 468, who's just, well, it's Lemoigne that's got the fastest lap, 55.043. Up the hill we go. Lap 3 about to be completed. And here comes Van Wyk, sweeps to the outside at turn 1. And that's going to open the door for Guillaume. Oh, that was close. Van Wyk countered into turn 2. He's mounting the curbs. He's on the grass. Guillaume swerves to avoid. Van der Pavert gets through. And so does Riedman. Oh, my goodness me. Nico Guillaume had a bit of a scare. He lost one of his 9 cat lives there, did the man from Belgium. And it all started with the fact that Jort van Wyk mounted the curbs going through into turn 2. It set him off course, pinged him left. Guillaume went right to avoid. Van der Pavert went, yep, I'll go through. Riedman went, well, I'll follow my teammates. Len Noyes has just got a black and white warning flag from race control. And he's got a lead over Van Wyk of just over 0.6 of a second. Van der Pava, P3. Guillaume now dives to the inside at turn 2. On Rietman trying to get through for 4th. And the whole field, after the opening 4 laps, get this, folks. 2.4 seconds covers the entirety of the field. Well, everyone's decided, well, it's the last race of the weekend. Might as well go out in a blaze of glory, as the song says. But still, these first 4 minutes and 40 seconds have gone by very, very quickly indeed. But Len Noyes is finding that his gap is being whittled down, courtesy of Jort van Wyk, who's just set the fastest tour of the circuit of this race. 54.717 for the 433 from SP Motorsports. So we are 5.5 minutes through this 15-minute final. And we'll have the juniors and the seniors to take it home after this one. Jort van Wyk, another fastest lap of the race. For him, 54.586. As now Theo Lemoigne closing in on Pepin Rietman, who's been overtaken by Nico Guillaume. Guillaume's got about a half-second gap to find at least. It's maybe more than that as they will go through. That's nearly 0.9 of a second. There's Ralphie with his marigolds on. There you go, bright pink. Kind of what we saw at the Champions Winter Trophy earlier on this year with senior Rotax driver from KR Sport, Ryan Gandor from Canada. But now the top 3 starting to break away, especially the top 2, because the gap between Van Wyk and Van der Pava has now extended to nearly 0.6 of a second. There is Theo Lang languishing at the back. It's not been an easy one for the Craft Motorsport boys this weekend. Maybe maybe engine related, because they seem to be very, very. I mean, you know, when you look at someone like Yannick Jacobs, how decorated he is. 2024, I was there with RMC Germany commentator Sebastian Bauer. We were both in the booth for the final round, which also had a very funny incident involving a yellow flag before the checkered. And I think that included drivers such as Conor Halfer, who ended up going into the pits before the checkered flag won. And Elliot de Kriede went across the line, was classified 12th, and they put it a lap back because of what had happened. Theo Lemoigne now closing in on Pepin Rietman, and that was nearly an opportunity for the 435 from Lahout Racing Team to get through. Noyes and Van Wyk still trying to extend that gap, so it's only a 2-kart battle. But when Ralph van der Pava is on his A game, he will try and do what he can. But a dive to the inside at Chemin de Fer. Great move by Theo Lemoigne from the Lahout Racing Team, getting through on SP Motorsports Pepin Rietman. And that is a change for 5th as they go through Escargot here on lap number 9. As the Rotax roar is heard through the hallowed halls of Karting Defang here in Marienborg in Belgium, as Jim Ringelberg now trying to close in on Pepin Rietman. And that is, well, he's also got chief rival and defending champion of the series, Christophe Capitain, on the EOS chassis. That car well, as you can see, emblazed with the striking chrome blue and silver of the colours of RM Concept. The team run and operated by Morgan Riche, who came back out of retirement after 10 years away, went and qualified for the Grand Finals in Bahrain in 2021, the same weekend that Martin van Leuven did exactly the same thing in DD2. Not only did Morgan Riche qualify in the last opportunity in the world to do so, or one of the last opportunities in the world to do so, went on and won the thing in 2021 when the Grand Finals first visited the Persian Gulf, and it was also the first time that races had been held under nightfall. And myself and Henry Baudet, the voice of the Grand Finals, had the prestigious honour of calling the first qualifying heat, which, funnily enough, was E20 at that point, newly introduced for that year. And that was obviously after the 2020 Grand Finals that were scheduled to take place in Portimao got cancelled after the International Trophy that year was pushed back to late December. And then I think it was 2 weeks after Christmas, Portimao was going to host the Grand Finals. 2/3 down, 1/3 to go on the timer. And Len Noyes is still keeping an equidistant gap between himself and Jort van Wyk that stretches to just over 0.3 of a second between the Belgian up front and the Dutchman behind. So now Van Wyk has got to put every single thing into this, physically, mentally, to try and see if he can close that gap. But Noyes, once again, like we saw at Ostrakour at round 1 a month ago, Noyes has showcased just blistering all-out speed. That kart is in harmony with the man that is driving it. Last time around, that gap was nearly 0.4 of a second between Len Noyes and Jort van Wyk. The gap now expands to about 0.4. So Noyes just keeping a calm head on cool shoulders. So, still, these drivers not that far apart from one another, but Len Noyes and Jort van Wyk seem extremely comfortable, but Van Wyk, I'm sure, would want to have a little bit more waft to keep a close eye and close pressure on the shoulders of the man in front. Noyes, glance thereof over the right shoulder. Battle for DD2 and DD2 Masters. Getting very up close and personal between Jim Ringelberg and Christophe Capitain as they head through into turn 5 and then the heavy braking zone into turn 6 here at Chemin de Fer. Jim these days now having a bit of side projects as well as running a rental company. Jim has just got himself a nice little Mazda MX-5 as a race car. He said he was at Zandvoort the other week. He said it was blustery, wind all over the place, sand all over the track. He said, well, that's what you get for going to... I said, well, that's what you get for going to Zandvoort. You're right by the North Sea coast and the sea and the shoreline, so you got no chance. 3 laps to go, and Len Nyes extends the gap over Jort van Wyk to just over half a second. Capitan looks for a quick, cheeky sneak up the inside at turn 2 on the 547, but Ringelberg very, very aware of it. These two have been battling away since the Champions Winter Trophy in February earlier on this year, when we had a snowy podium, and then I ended up having my flight cancelled that weekend before having to head back home the following morning. And that's just first world problems from my aspect as a commentator that needs to travel for work. However, Jort van Wyk has got a new fastest lap to his credit of 54.508. Would have been done a couple of laps ago, but we've got 2 laps remaining. And Len Nyes at the moment is finding his gap whittling away, because the lap time he just did was a low 54.7. Van Wyk a mid 54.5, and that gap is down to to around about 0.4 of a second. But the timer has hit 0. 1 more lap to go. Just over 1.5 kilometres of racing remain. Up the hill we go for the penultimate time. Here on what is lap 17 out of 18. Len Nyes, quick glance over the right shoulder by the 417 from Shepherd's Racing Service BV. But Len Nyes doing exactly what he's needed to do. Keep it out front, went to the high side, round the outside at turn 1. Took the lead off of Jort van Wyk on the opening corner, on the opening lap, and he has not looked back yet. Apart from odd occasional glances on the start-finish straight through at a chemin de fer for the 18th and final time, not including the 2 formation laps beforehand. Through into Piff Paff, now into Escargot. And Van Wyk looked to size up and move. Could it be a run to the line through turn 11? Now up the hill, through into turn number 12. It's the run to the line. And for the 3rd time this season, Len Nyes is the winner, and it's not going to be by much. 1 3/4 tenths at the end of 18 laps of racing. Len Nyes wins the final on day 2 on the road. Head of Jort van Wyk, who picks up the fastest lap, takes 2nd. Then Ralph van der Pavert, a win yesterday, and he's P3 in the final on day 2. Nico Guillaume and Theo Lemoigne round out your top 5 overall. Pepin Rietman 6th. Head of Jim Ringelberg, who wins the final in Masters here on day 2, with Christophe Capitan, Yannick Jacobs and Theo Lang rounding out your 10 finishers. The entire field covered by 7.2 seconds. And that is that for them. Next up, coming very shortly, is the final for Junior Rotax.
pas qu'il était là.
So we head to our penultimate final of round 2 of the 2026 season for the BNL Karting Series. Juniors up next. And this could also be a rather interesting proposition. There is Kai Clark, who has been at the sharp end of the field all the way through this weekend for Strawberry Racing. Several other drivers have been in the mix, including Finn Albert Jorgensen, who had a pre-final to forget as the Dane for KR Sport in the 265, retired before the race even got going. So there is a driver trying to get going, and that is the 248. Klaus Hans, the Latvian, is not going to be able to, well, has got one of the Bouvain power technicians with him, so that kart is going to be starting from the dummy grid. Also Bruce Ramboa in the 250, who suffered a big knock to the arm earlier on, is also not out on the circuit. There's going to be Riley Morrow starting from pole position, Kai Clark alongside on the front row, Luan Seidel, Nui Radcliffe, row 2, Albert Friend and Kian Bernard, row 3, Finley Lines, Lieke van Berkel, row 4, Jensen Chalk and Raris Pascu ran out the top 10. Trent Van Melk, Lucien Smith, Loris Perron-Mousset, Finn Albert Jorgensen, Augustin Hanik, Lionel Munguia, Leon Herbos, Anton Hauschel Christensen, Charlie Kitely and Max Bogstal round out the top 20. Then we're scheduled to have Klaus Hans, who is not out, who's not on the circuit. Harry Taylor, Sebastian Clark, Georges Desmay, Thibaut Mercier, Justin Fonck, Ilan Vandenberger, Didier Dedale, Yannis Courage, Matthias Verreken, Nathan Lecure, Bruce Ramboa not taking part in this race and is a non-starter. Looks like Klaus Hans, they've got the kart fired up, but it's out on the circuit. Finn Albert Jorgensen, you've got your family at home in Denmark. They're all watching on their own devices to see how this young charger, former Minimax RMC Germany champion back in, I think, 2024 or maybe 2023. But this is going to be another rip-roaring run through the circuits here at Marienborg for 12 minutes plus an additional lap. So red lights on the gantry for the penultimate time here this weekend as we get ready for the final here on Sunday for Junior Rotax. Up the hill they come. It's time to get the revs up. Lights are on. We are racing. And it's the run down to turn one. Kai Clark to the outside. Tries to get through on Riley Morrow, but he can't. Tries to get the inside line for turn two. And the 267 from Strawberry Racing takes the lead of the race as we've got yellows at turn two. Couple of carts off the circuit, one of which is the 215. Augustin Hanik, I'm afraid, has gone exit stage left. But meantime, Clark versus Morrow into Chemin de Fer for the first time. And Clark, oh, the leader's touch! Both of them spin around! Oh, that's opened the floodgates. And has that damaged the kart for Kai Clark? Is checking the steering at the moment. And there's further dramas. 222. That, oh no, that's Riley Morrow from Sam Pollitt Racing out of turn 5. No, that's actually at the contact point. And Luan Seidel from Switzerland leads. And now here goes the 227, Louis Radcliffe. And then that lets Cian Bernard get through. Findlay Lines trying around the outside at 3 on Luan Seidel. Can't get through. He's got Jensen Chalk from MLC Motorsport. Grüezi Leo Gonzalez and Familia zu Hause. So Leon Gonzalez also has competed for a multitude of teams in previous years here in the BNL as someone tries to dive to the inside at the last part of Escargot, and the cat is amongst the pigeons here in Junior Rotax. Clark and Morrow make contact, and I think Riley Morrow is out of the race, but look at this. Cian Bernard from 6th on the grid now leads as we head into lap number 3. Kai Clark still out there, currently 24th. But with the compact nature of this field, Kai Clark is only 5.7 seconds away from the race leaders. So at the moment, it is Cian Bernard, Louis Radcliffe, Albie Friend now through for P3. Luan Seidel in 4th, Findlay Lines, Lieke van Berkel, Lucian Smith, Jensen Chalk, Finn Albert Jorgensen up from 14th, now runs 9th, as Sebastian Clark has made some of the biggest moves up the order. He's one of 2 drivers, that includes Matthias Verdaken, that have made up 13 places. Verdaken up to 17th. Make that 15th. And now new fastest lap of the race. Albert Friend in P3. 56.507 for the 219. There goes Jensen Chalk. Back through on Finn Albert Jorgensen. That is for position. And that's for 8th place. And if you said to me that Kai Clark and Riley Morrow would make contact within the first 2 laps of the race, I probably would have said, well, there's probably a 50-50 window on that. However, Bernard looking to continue his win rate at the moment this season. And Cian Bernard did win the final yesterday as well. So he's looking for the double. Findlay Lines will want to try and close the gap to the 282 from Sam Pollitt Racing. And don't worry, Leon Gonzalez. Next up, we got 2 Swiss drivers in this race. Rades Pascu is Albert Friend to the inside of Louis Radcliffe through the second part of Escargot. The 219 from Dan Holland Racing. That was a very, very late move, but very well calculated. Saw the window, went for the move, got it done. Nice work by Albie Friend. Always accompanied by, majority of the time, by Dad George, who's always a hoot to have a chat with from time to time. Now Finley Lines is starting to close on the 3 in front. We'll make that the 4 in front because of the, well, you've got 3 in front because you've got Finley in front of Finley Lines. You've got Louis Radcliffe. Then you've got Albert Friend. And in some respects, Finley Lines has kind of got a wingman behind him, Luan Seidel, who for about, I think, 3 corners led the race. But Riley Morrow has retired. Kai Clark now up to 19th. 6 minutes and 15 seconds to go, plus an additional lap on the counter. And here goes an opportunity. Lines trying to get through on Radcliffe for P3, who runs wide out of turn 1 into turn 2. Lines has enough space, makes it work. And I had a chat with Luan Seidel a bit earlier on yesterday evening, and he said, you know, the Swiss RMC is great, but you really need to be in competitions like this to learn quickly. Kai Clark now up into 17th position. I'm on Kai Clark watch at the minute when it comes to the 267. So drivers moving up the order. There are several drivers now in double digits. Nathan Lecure Hall from 31st to 21st. Matthias Verdaken up to 15th. 15 places gained. Justin Fonk, new fastest lap of the race, 56.027 for the 223. Currently 13th, has made up 13 positions. Sebastian Clark up 12. Harry Taylor up 12. And they now make up the top 11 at the moment as things, well, the top 10 actually. So that's 13 places apiece gained by the 2 drivers. But still, with the mechanics gantry just off of the turn 13 and 14 chicane, keeping an eagle eye on their drivers, giving them the respective hand signals of encouragement, telling them what they need to do, because there's so much that you have to take on board as a driver. You've got to take on board what your game plan is, who you're racing against. Then you've got to keep an eye out for your mechanic. But now Luan Seidel trying to challenge Louis Radcliffe, and that is for 4th position. Sam Pollock Racing's Kean Bernard holding on to that race lead. And the lead is starting to expand. 0.7 of a second after 8 laps. Lap 9 about to be completed as we hit double digits with 3.5 minutes to go. Bernard's trying to pull a gap. If he can get it to at least a second, he knows that he'll have a bit more opportunity to try and keep Albert Friend at bay if the 219 from Dan Holland Racing is able to move forward. But it's Finley Lines. Oh, 55.910 for the young man from KR Sport, now part of the Fuchs Huff management crew. The team operated by Will Fuchs, a good friend of mine who I met back in my days of wandering British Touring Car Championship paddocks, and now aligned with the man who they do call Mr. Macau, Rob Huff. World Touring Car Championship winner, TCR race winner. He's won multiple Macau Grand Prix when it comes to touring cars, and there's a wealth and breadth of experience there to help young drivers go up the ladder. But it's not easy when you've got such a competitive depth and breadth of a junior Rotax field. 33 drivers came here this weekend. Harry Taylor now up into 8th position. Louis Radcliffe, new fastest lap, 55.779. They're battling for position whilst trading fastest laps. That's what you what you call real good race pace from these drivers. as we hit 14 degrees air temperature in terms of Celsius for the first time today. It's the warmest it has been, but there is, well, I say that with partial blue skies up ahead, but we are the track is fully submerged underneath this wonderful Belgian Sunday afternoon sunshine, and it's provided us with great conditions, pretty much perfect conditions for racing to conclude day 2 and bring us to the halfway point of the season. But at the moment, Kian Bernard doing exactly what he needs to do. And more to the point, Bernard is making it count. Next time around, we'll have 2 laps to go. And after an unfortunate clash between Riley Morrow and Kai Clark, the latter of which has managed to go up to 14th on a recovery drive to exercise damage limitation, Finley Lines now closing on Albie Friend for P2. KR Sport versus Dan Holland Racing. And Lines' new fastest lap, 55.624 for the 281. Now Albie Friend has been in this category for a number of years now. Made the move from Mini a couple of years ago, and I think is now in year 3. But the timer has expired. About 1.5 kilometres left to go. That's just shy of a mile's worth left of racing. And up the hill, last lap board will be shown. First of all to Sam Pollitt Racing's Kian Bernard, who takes a look over his left shoulder. One more lap remains here in the Junior Rotax Sunday final. Lines is getting ever closer to being within striking distance of pulling the trigger and putting it past Albert Friend, but he's got Louis Radcliffe for company. Bernard, quick look over the left shoulder into turn 4 for the final time. Bernard has been absolutely brilliant behind the wheel, but when he gets on his A game, it takes a lot to stop this youngster from in the 282 from Sam Pollitt Racing. Through out of Escargot for the final time. Just one right-hander and the chicane to go. Up the hill, it's going to be double delight for Sam Pollitt Racing, and Kian Bernard does the double here at Marienburg, winning by nearly half a second. Head of Albert Friend, Finley Lines rounds out your top 3. Louis Radcliffe, Luan Seidel complete your top 5. Harry Taylor, take a bow, young sir. 16 places from 22nd outside of row 11 to finish 6th. Great work. Lucian Smith, Finn Albert Jorgensen, Jensen Chalk, and Sebastian Clark, 23rd to round off the top 10. How's about that one for the 251 from KR Sports? Lieke van Berkel, Justin Fonk, Max Bogsal, Kai Clark, Matthias Verreken, Anton Hauschel Christensen, Charlie Kitely, Lionel Munguia, Raris Pascu, Leon Herbos, Sven Van Malek, Klaus Hans, Nathan Lecuro, Loris Perron-Mousset, Thibaut Mercier, Georges Desmay, Ilan Vandenberger and Augustin Hanik round out the finishers. And unfortunately, we lost Didier Dedale, Yanis Courage, Riley Morrow as our retirees, and Bruce Ramboa, a non-starter. Next up, it's the big final. Here we go. Next, it's the 15-minute plus an additional lap Senior Rotax final at 4 p.m. local.
Why do you come here? Is this your career?
Or is it all about fun? A chance to get away and leave it all behind?
Or do you chase your personal best? Challenging yourself over and over again. Why do you come here?
Maybe you're here to collect moments. Good ones. And not so good ones.
Where you can't afford mistakes. Because you want that victory. It's all about this one moment when the hard work finally pays off.
This is the place that brings us closer to the people who share our story. Whoever we are.
Whatever we're here for. Racing is who we are.
"23 races now completed. We head to the 24th and final race of the second round of the 2026 BNL Karting Series season. This is one of the ones I always like to see at the end of the weekend. It is the Senior Rotax Sunday final. 15 minutes plus an additional lap. Qualifying this morning kind of upset the balance a little bit, because a lot of drivers went late in the session, whereas some who decided, well, might as well chance it and see how I get on. And some drivers, like Vic van Kampenhout, Elisa Stolchamane, for instance, were able to parlay that into a good run in both the qualifying heat and the pre-final. But now, this is where it gets critical for these drivers, because there are some that have not had a chance to go for the victory. Now they have that opportunity. But there are the usual faces that have occupied this championship for a multitude of years in different categories, going up the ranks, if you will. But we have 30 drivers set to take part in this race.
Die ersten 6 Stunden fahren, die gehen, aber dann die letzte Stunde, das ist
Kilometer für Kilometer. Ja, ich weiß.
Transporter und Wohnwagen hinten dran.
Ich bin ja auch zum Schweden gefahren und zum Österreich gefahren. Und
Engines roar into life here at Karting de Fagne International Raceway here in Marienborg in Belgium. Here it is, your starting grid for the Senior Max Sunday final. On pole position, Vince van der Halle from Belgium, joined by Boris Verhaag from the Netherlands alongside on the front row. Sverre Ubben will be joined by defending Grand Finals and BNL champion from last year, Macaulay Bishop, who is also a 4-time British champion. Tino Sidler and Thijs van Wijk round out row 3 ahead of Harry Freeman and Bran van der Weken, who round out the top 4 rows. Elisa Stolchamani, the young lady driver from Latvia, starts on the inside of row 5 and completing your top 10. Last year's runner-up in the senior Rotax division, Francis Tom Longnois. Bastian Mesnil and Lars Lambers, row 6. Row 7, Boris Maximov and Lucas Storder. Max Sidursky and Arnold Sabaha round out row 8, head of Antoine Lemieux, Kenneth Van Mokerka, Raphael Moreau and Ryan Bourguignon. Rounding out your top 20. Completing the grid are Koen Willems, Bo Alrichs, Lara Koenice, Vic van Kampenhout, Louis Oliver Günther, Liam von Hecke, Priem Lelang, Charlie King, Hugo Grastor and Hjalte Risgaard from Denmark, rounding out the 30 strong. Just keeping a look on the YouTube channel chat. Buro Kriebel saying, go for it, Thijs. Patrick Verbis cheering on as always, Bran van der Weken. The drivers now getting into formation after what has been a very interesting day in the world of senior Rotax here at BNL Karting Series. Round 2 out of 4 here at Marienborg. So, drivers and mechanics on the gantry. It's an all Bouvin Power front row, followed by GKS Lemons Power, Dan Holland Racing, KR Sport, and then some. As they are now starting to head up the hill. It's a slow run to the tram lines. We go, revs up, lights on, and we are underway for the last final of the weekend. To the outside goes Boris Verhagen. With him goes, I think that was Macaulay Bishop, who's got the lead at turn 2. Brilliant stuff from Bishop. Straight out of the cannon was the Brit fired, and he did deliver. And it's a Dan Holland Racing 1-2. Thijs van Wijk now up into second. Wheel to wheel a little bit further back as Harry Freeman, I think, and Tom Longnois to the inside at turn 4. But now it is the time of making sure your strategy is bulletproof. Leave no stone unturned. Leave nothing to chance. Put everything, every sinew of every fibre of every muscle on your body, every joint, every tendon, every string that is attached. You use it to the best of your ability. After the opening lap, Macaulay Bishop leads teammate from DHR, Thijs van Wijk, by just over 0.2 of a second. Pole sitter Vince van der Holle now trying to dive to the inside, and through he goes back to second at turn 3. Sverre Ubben is there. Switzerland's Tino Sidler, the younger brother of Mario, rounds out the top 5 at the moment, but the conga line is long as they go through in towards Escargot here on lap number 2. And yes, Roger Young, what an insane start by Macaulay Bishop. I have to say, I've never seen someone do that. Tried to get through out for the race lead and get the inside line for turn 2 off of the start. That was mighty. And Olivier Mazurkiewicz, I can see where your allegiance lies. But let's say this is not going to be an easy one for Vince to win. But he's going to try his hardest. They're wheel to wheel. That's going to open the door. Van Wijk through. Oh, Van der Hollen and Ubben getting a little bit close for comfort. Through into turn 4. Oh, how close do you want to be I think Sverre was nearly sideways going through turn 4, trying to not connect with Vince van der Halle. And Vince van der Halle dives through at the end of escargot through on Thijs van Wijk. That has been a spot that some drivers have managed to get through, and Van Wijk loses out through turn number 12. Sverre Oven for GKS gets through for third. Sidler. And then et al. Van der Weyken is there. Bastian Mesnil is there. The man from Dams Racing for France. Boris Verhagen 8th. Harry Freeman, Tom Langlois now rounds out the top 10. Yellow flags on the run down to Chemin de Fer briefly, which has just been retracted. Koen Willems down in 17th position, gets the new fastest lap of the race. And that was a mighty lap from the driver from the Netherlands. 55.396 was the lap time. Bishop holding on. There is still a lot to go in this race. Blink, folks, and you will miss it. I don't know what it is, but you'll miss the race. That's for damn sure. Right. Lap 5 in the books. And Freddie Walker giving a cheer and saying good luck to all my teammates at KR Sports watching from home. Well, Freddie, thank you so much. Tygo Holthausen, this is proper racing. You're right, it is. This is how a fight should be conducted. We saw it in the Mini Max and Mini Rookie earlier on. We're now seeing a textbook display, but there's drama a little bit further back. That is one of the GKS karts, and that is going to be Koen Willems in the 307, attended to by one of our marshals off of post 3. So yellow flags, no overtaking permitted at turn 2. My goodness, this is going to be a battle. The established guard versus the young hotshot. Oh, and there's a little bit of sidewall contact, a little bit of a scuff between Bishop and Van der Halle, and Van der Halle squeaks through by a nose. But don't always count out drivers like Bishop, drivers like Van der Halle. If they're in second place, you know that there's a strategy coming. And in many respects, yeah, we're going to see now, look at the power that Van der Hallen's got up the hill. But Bishop, in this final, is able to keep with him. Gap is 1/4 of a second. So good to see that Koen Willems is out of the 307 Esprit chassis. Sverre Ubben in 4th now sets the fastest lap of the race. Oh, someone in the background's just gone downhill, as in tumbling down the table. That's Bastien Mesnil from France for Dams Racing. So Boris Verhagen, Max Sidursky now up to 7th and 8th. Antoine Lemieux up to 11th behind Tom Langlois from France. But still, with 8.5 minutes or just under left to go, it is going to be the case that can Vince van der Halle hang on. That is going to be the crucial thing. Macaulay Bishop has just gone purple in the opening sector. 2/10 is the distance in terms of time. Make that less than half a kart length. Now into escargot. Van der Halle did a 17.861 on the opening sector. Bishop 17.820. Gap now 2.5 tenths. Bishop slightly slower through the middle point of the circuit. And Bishop is now 0.35 of a second behind. There is still an opportunity. 15 minutes plus an additional lap. It feels like an eternity behind the wheel of one of these senior Rotaxes. And it just goes to show that it is not easy. These drivers are pushing like they depend on it. But still the chase carries on. Van der Halle brings us on to lap 10. Bishop, half a second back. Van Wyk, 2.7 seconds back from Bishop. That is how fast Van der Halle and Bishop are going. Van der Halle just set a 55.001. Bishop 55.113. The one thing that you can't get at... Oh, Sverre Ubben. Oh, that was a nice little lastminute.com manoeuvre by the 348. He just got through on Van Wyk through at turn number 4. As I was saying before, Sverre just completely changed my tone and cadence through sheer excitement at that point. You've got to be very, very methodical because this is a longer race. More to the point, Elisa Stolchamani, who's now currently down in 16th place, the lady Latvian driver, has just been given the black and white flag by race control, as if to say, just we're keeping an eye on you. So, and I think it looks like Vic van Kampenhout has also been eliminated early as well. The 3-2-4 from SP Motorsport. Koen Willems out, Ryan Bourguignon out. A bit of a fight a bit further back because, well, I've just seen Tino Sidler and he is now ahead of Thijs van Wyk. So Thijs van Wyk down to 6th position. Bran van der Weyken now up 4 spots into P4. There's your race leader, Vince van der Halle. Macaulay Bishop doing everything in his power to close in on the Belgian from Bouvin Power in the latter stages of this race. The gap is about 6 to 8 kart lengths between the pair at this moment. So Bishop knows it is going to be a hard slog. And at the end of the day, for him, he's thinking about the bigger picture. And he admitted to me yesterday that, you know what, even though I've qualified, I still want to go out there and win titles. That is a driver's mentality. That you constantly push yourself to the limits and beyond. That is exactly what the young man from Hoddesdon in Hertfordshire has done. And funnily enough, I'm going to add a little bit of Alex Goldschmidt story time to this because we've still got 4 minutes plus an additional lap. I started my commentary career where Macaulay Bishop started his karting career. Royhouse Kart Raceway, Hoddesdon, Hertfordshire, a 25-minute drive from the hometown of 7-time Formula 1 world champion and current Scuderia Ferrari driver, Lewis Hamilton. And that's a bit of a statistic I don't let on often. But, new fastest lap, Vince van der Halle, 54.939. Sidler has just received a warning flag from race control. As Sverre Ubben in P3. Great job by the 348 from GKS. And he's got Bran van der Weyken closing in on his rear bumper. There's Tino Sidler, multi-time RMC Swiss champion. Trying to do what he can to move up the order. But with 3 minutes to go, plus an additional lap, this will curtail the on-track action for round 2 of BNL 2026. And then we return to the home of champions, 19th to the 21st of June 2026 to Karting Genk. And not only will we be there for round 3, we will also head back there for the 4th and final round of the season, where we crown our champions and give out 5 tickets to this year's Rotax Max Challenge Grand Finals between the 3rd and the 4th of October this year. But Sverre Ubben is being kept honest by Bran van der Weyken, who last year, like Vince van der Holle, were in the junior ranks. And now they've decided to come into seniors, and they're not the only one. Boris Maximov is another one who won the Chrono Karting Dutch Championship before Chrono and RMC Belgium amalgamated into what's known as the United Karting Series that hosted its 2nd round out of 7 this time last week. But look at the frenzy. More overtakes trying to be attempted in the last 2 minutes plus an additional lap. Meantime, Sweden's Priam Lilang, who's all the way down the back end of the order, currently in 24th, has just set the fastest lap of the race. 54.851 by the Swede. A nice one there. This goes to show that everyone has a little bit of pace in their back pocket, and that can be clearly personified by, okay, I know I'm not going to get any brownie points for where I am currently in the running order of things, but But the main thing is that the way that Vince van der Holle has been keeping his hands on the victory ahead of Macaulay Bishop. We will have 2 more laps to go, including this one that has just been started. Van der Holle brings us on to lap 17 out of 18. And the leaders now making their way down towards turn number 4. Macaulay Bishop has tried his hardest. Got into the lead early, but Van der Holle, in terms of the outright pace, has been that little bit quicker. That half a tenth, eighth of a tenth, a tenth of a second quicker. And that's been all the difference that has made it work for Van der Holle to try and keep the lead. Now the Boo Van Power youngster from Belgium through into turn 12. It's not just the last lap of the race, it's the last lap of the weekend. Vince van der Holle from Boo Van Power hops up and down in the seats. Through into turn 1 goes the 372 for the final time here on lap number 18. Boris van Haag now makes his way back up into the top 10, head of Tom Langlois from France. Bran van der Weyken currently runs P4. Macaulay Bishop started on the outside of row number 2 and got to the lead by turn 1. That's how skillful some people can be at the start. They can read the situation, have split-second cat-like reflexes, and make the right decision within a hair's breadth of knowing what you're going to be doing. But there has to be only one winner. Out of the final right-hander, up the hill through turns 13 and 14. Proficiat, Vince van der Holle from Belgium, and Boo Van Power takes the win here in Sunday's final for Senior Rotax. And look, look at the freight train coming across the line, nearly 3-4 wide. I think that was around about 15th downwards. But Van der Holle victorious here on day 2 on Sunday, winning the final after 18 laps of racing by just under 1.1 seconds. After nearly 24.6 kilometres being completed with an average speed of over 88 kilometres an hour. That's about 55 miles an hour for you people using the metric system. Macaulay Bishop, Sverre Ubben round out the top 3 ahead of Bran van der Beken, Tino Sidler, Taze van Wyk, Harry Freeman, Max Swiderski, Boaz Maximov and Tom Lanois round out the top 10. Boris van Haag, Lars Lambers, Rafael Moreau, Alisa Stolchamane, Lara Kohanidze, Lucas Dorder, Arnaud Sabaha, Antoine Lemieux, Bastien Mesnil and Hugo Grastor round out your top 20. Charlie King, Kenneth van Mokerke, Priam Lilang, Louis Oliver Gunter, Bo Algis and Hjalde Risgaard round out your finishers. Unfortunately, we lost Liam van Hecke, Koen Willems, Vic van Kampenhout and Ryan Bourguignon. Well, let's put you through with the highlights very well. I don't know if we're going to get the highlights for the race there. But what a weekend it has been here in Marienborg. But more to the point, firstly, we have to say a few thank yous to the marshals, to all the team behind the scenes, the circuit, timekeeping, administration, Park for May, Tyre Park, scrutineering, our live timing, live streaming, race control, our panel of stewards, and every single member, whether it's driver, mechanic, team boss, team owner, family members that have come from far and wide. But there is someone we have to remember. Unfortunately, on March the 27th this year, Warwick Ringham, who is one of the team at Strawberry Racing, sadly lost his dad Colin, who was a big part of the karting community. And on behalf of the entire organisation, we would like to extend our sincere condolences and thoughts and prayers for Warwick and his family, and also at the team at Strawberry Racing. As Colin, you will be missed by many people that knew you, and we wish you Godspeed and God bless. That is it from us here at Karting des Fagnes International Raceway for the second round of the 2026 BNL Karting Series season. The path to Portimao continues in just 2 months' time as we return to the home of champions, to the Limburg region of Belgium, and to Karting Genk for rounds 3 on the 19th to the 21st of June, and to the final round on the 3rd and 4th of October. This has been a WFR Live TV production. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, wishing you the best for the rest of your Sunday afternoon, and we will see you for round 3 at the home of champions in the latter part of June. Good night.